Good afternoon, everybody. I know there are a lot of committees scattered across the Capitol meeting today, so I know a lot of you have to come and go, and there are going to be some coming and join us just a little bit. But in light of that, we do need to go ahead and roll pretty quickly and trying to get some of our business taken care of today. And I've got a little homework to do on the amended budget, so we're going to try to get these four measures handled fairly quickly this afternoon. We do have a quorum here, and I'm going to ask birthday boy, Chairman Roberts, if he would, to do an invocation for us.
Sure. That's right. Much kind Heavenly Father, Lord, we just come before you this afternoon, Lord, we pray that you be with us as we go throughout day to day doing your work, Lord. Lord, we pray that everything that we do down here will be pleasing unto you, Lord, that we will give you all the glory.
Amen. Thank you, sir. First bill before the committee this afternoon is going to be House Bill 127, Chairman Jay Powell. And Chairman Powell, we'll get the microphone turned on for you there, and you're good to go.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is House Bill 127. This, if you'll recall, this is pretty much the identical bill that we did last year. Has House Bill 811 passed, I think, with 4 dissenting votes out of the House, got bogged down in the Senate. And we're bringing it back this year. This is essentially the same bill, except that last year we had a 5-year phase-in. This year we've got a 4-year phase-in. And if we come back next year, we'll have a 3-year phase-in. And but the other thing that is essentially different about this bill than last year is that the governor's office expressed some concern last year about the fact that if we wound up in a severe recession and we were in dire need of funds to keep schools open, keep GBI, keep State Patrol, and all those things operating, that he wanted an escape valve of some sort that would suspend the operation of this, the effect of this, to give us the discretion to do something on an emergency basis. And so what we've included in this bill that was not in the bill last year is a provision that upon a joint resolution of the House and Senate by simply a majority vote, that it could be suspended for a fiscal year. In other words, we couldn't do it blanket for 5 years or 10 years. It would be for a fiscal year, and then if the next fiscal year we had similar kinds of problems, we could do it, but we had to take an affirmative action or an affirmative vote to suspend the action of this bill. But essentially what the bill does is it says that on the dedicated funds, which are in, for purposes of this bill, the Solid Waste Trust Fund, the Hazardous Waste Trust Fund, the Joshua's Law, which is the driver's education funding, the police officer training fund, and the indigent defense fund, that for those 5 funds, the legislature can appropriate whatever it wants to, but if it does not appropriate the amount that the fees collect, that the fees will be reduced to equal the amount that the legislature appropriates. So, for instance, in the Solid Waste Trust Fund, which is the tire fee, the fee is $1. It generates about $7.5 million. If we only spend $3.5 million, which is essentially half of it, then instead of charging $1, we charge 50 cents for the recycled tire program. So it does not restrict the legislature's ability to appropriate, but what it does do is to lower the fee to match the appropriation if we do not fully fund these things. So that essentially is what the bill does. Mr. Chairman, I'll be happy to answer any questions and ask for the favorable consideration of the committee.
Okay, Chairman Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Chairman Powell, I signed it. I'm a full support. Let me ask you one question, though. If we go back to like the 50% or 50 cent, like you're talking about, what is the mechanism by which we will then contact the local governments and all as far as the collection of that?
The bill provides, because it depends on which fee you're talking about as who the collecting agent. For instance, Joshua's Law and the indigent defense, a lot of those are fine add-on type things. The police officer training fund, those are fine add-ons. All of those are monitored and paid through the Superior Court Clerk's Authority. And so it says that I think Office of Planning and Budget will notify whoever the collecting agent is on an annual basis of whether the fee should be adjusted, and then it's up to them to, in the case of the Department of revenue or whoever it is, or DNR, that collects on the tire fee, that they would be required to notify either by website or otherwise all of those folks that individually collect those funds. But on the fine add-ons, you've got one collecting agent, so that's fairly easy. Yes, sir.
Representative Oliver.
In sections 2,
Oh, don't get down in the weeds.
I love the weeds. I'm good in the weeds. 2, 3, 4, and 5, you are setting for the authority to change the fees. I just wanted to make sure. I think this is...
All right, well, tell me again where you are.
Lines 156 and 7, lines 161, 2, lines 168 to 70, and 179 to 80. That gives the authority to change the fees, and I just want to confirm that I believe that's only the authority to lower the fees, not the authority to raise the fees.
Oh, no, the law currently sets a maximum. All we're talking about is to reduce the fees.
Thank you. That's what I thought.
That's correct.
Any further questions? Okay, at this point, we'll entertain a motion. Have a motion to do pass for numerous seconds. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Next on our agenda is House Bill 45. Chairman Earhart. This is the carryover bill for Regents and TCSG, I believe. And Chairman Earhart, your microphone is on.
Does everyone have that bill? That's what I thought. I do.
The
This
copies
I
are
think it's
coming
being
right
passed out.
now.
Sorry, that's why I was asking. I didn't have it either. I've got it. Okay, I'll go ahead and begin explaining the bill. Mr. Chairman, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Committee, this is a bill that passed for the first time in 2003. This is something we've reauthorized every couple of years. This is the carry forward provisions for both TCSG and for the Regents. TCSG can carry forward about 15% or 15% of tuition, unexpended tuition revenue, and the Regents can carry forward 3%. It's just an accounting measure that allows them to have the capacity for unexpected expenses and that type of thing. They've done a very responsible job with this over the years, and we've continued this process. 45 also continues the process of writing off on collectible accounts receivable up to $3,000 once you've expended every single resource to continue to try to collect those funds. There's no reason to continue to leave them on your books, just like you would for your business. You finally have to write those accounts off, and we allow the Regents to do that. Mr. Chairman, that's pretty much what this does. It's fairly self-explanatory. Be more than happy to answer any questions.
Okay, anybody have questions? Everybody's done their homework, it looks like. All right, we have a motion due pass. Seconds. Have a motion due pass in seconds. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, the next measure in front of you will be House Resolution 73 by Representative Carolyn Hughley. And does everybody have a copy of that in front of you? They're coming right now. I'll let the fair lady go ahead and start her explanation as those are coming out.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the committee. I bring before you House Resolution 73. This is a resolution that we had last year on the last night of the session. It got lost in the confusion of the last 5 minutes of the session. And basically, this compensation resolution is for a gentleman by the name of Lathan Word. I need you to know that over the last 25 years, over 2,000 people have been wrongfully convicted of crimes that they did not commit. And most of these people spend at least 10.7 years in prison. And 64% of those convictions are attributed to perjury or false accusations, and this is what happened to Mr. Lathan Word. We have a good judicial system, but sometimes it doesn't work, and in this case, it did not work for him. He was a young man who was 6 days away from going to the Marine Corps. He was picked up by the Columbus Police Department. Actually, they came to his mother's house, and his mother told him the police was looking for him, and he went and turned himself in to see what the situation was. And from that day, he went to prison because he was charged with an armed robbery that he did not commit. The store clerk who made the accusation was on his first day on the job, and he said that a person came into the store with a bag over their head, and when the person asked them to lay on the floor, the bag blew up for 1 second, and that's how he was able to say that it was Mr. Word who had committed this crime. Mr. Word stayed 11 years, 9 months, and 6 days in prison before his case was overturned. They asked him to make a plea bargain at that time, but he asked for a new trial, and at the new trial, the accuser was at this point a prisoner in our correction system. They brought him into court, and he told the judge that he made up the story because he was trying to get himself out of trouble with the police. So this is what happened to Mr. Word, and the compensation resolution is asking for $400,000. Now, there are 27 states and the federal government offer compensation. They have compensation statutes, and the federal government statute is about $50,000 a year, and that's not what we're asking for. This compensation resolution is based on what Mr. Word would have earned if he had an opportunity to fulfill his dream of being a Marine, and if he had gone into the Marine Corps and served those 12 years as opposed to being incarcerated, and this is what we've come up with as the amount. And so we're asking for us to think about the fact that the right to liberty is the most fundamental right that we have in this society. And if that is taken away from us, we really can't put a dollar value on it. But all of the people involved in this case, the DA and the judge and the public defender, they're honorable people. But honorable people can sometimes make mistakes, and that's what happened in this particular case. And we've contacted all of the people involved, and they all agree that this compensation resolution should go forward because it is the right thing to do. We can't give anybody back the time between 18 and 30, which is the most precious time in our lives when we are starting our families, we're going to college. We are creating the foundation for our lives in that time period, and this young man was not allowed to do it. I admire him for his courage. I admire him for the fact that he never gave up on our system of justice, and he never gave up on the fact that he knew he was innocent, and he persevered. So we're asking for this compensation resolution to go forward to assist him in reestablishing his life. I do want to thank our chair for working with us on this and the Speaker's office, because it took us from February to August of last year in order to get GCIC to expunge his record. Even when the court says you're not guilty, your record is not automatically expunged, and we had to go back and forth. They lost his records. They lost the application 3 times, and he has persevered through all of this, and he's simply asking for an opportunity to rebuild his life, and I hope you will help him do that. And I'll be happy to answer questions, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions from the committee? Well, it
Thank
seems
you.
that you explained it pretty well.
Thank you.
All right, we'll entertain a motion. Have a motion do pass. Do we have a second? A motion and a second. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Next on our agenda, we're waiting for some copies on a substitute that for some reason got separated from the bill. You got them? Okay, good deal. House Resolution 107, and I'm going to ask Chair Lady Sheldon if she'll come forward and explain the resolution. They're going to be handing those subs out. Madam Chair, if you want to go ahead and start explaining the resolution while they're handing it out, it'll be fine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Today I bring before you House Resolution 107. House Resolution 107 is simply a joint study committee on Medicaid reform. I know having served on Chairman Parrish's subcommittee on appropriations on health, we definitely are seeing our Medicaid budget increase. So, and it really kind of we're in an unsustainable growth period. I definitely think that there are things that we need to be looking at, and maybe looking at other states and seeing what we can do to improve service and lower cost to the citizens of Georgia. This study committee would be, like I said, as a joint study committee, would be 6 members of the Senate appointed by the Lieutenant Governor, 6 members of the House appointed by the Speaker, 6 members appointed by the Governor, 1 representative from the Department of Community Health, 1 member representing hospitals, 1 member representing insurance providers, 1 member representing nursing homes, 1 physician, and 1 consumer member. This joint committee shall be reimbursed for no more than 5 days. I think this is an important step forward for us as a body to ensure that we are using the taxpayers' dollars wisely, and ask for your favorable consideration. And let me just ensure that we're all working off the same LC number. I guess probably should have started there. But it's LC 335077S. Now that you should all have a copy of that.
Okay, the floor is open for questions. No questions. This might, by committee sub. Have a motion to do pass by committee sub, LC 335077S, and numerous seconds. All in favor, let me know by saying aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. House Resolution 107 receives a due pass recommendation. That is all we have for the committee today, and we are adjourned. Thank you for coming.